to hold the final budget hearing to adopt the millage rate, Washington County Commissioners, and MSBU budget for fiscal year 2016-17. The public hearing was advertised via the Washington County News on September 10th. The Washington County Board of County Commissioners publicly announces the following. The rollback rate is 9.3320. The percentage over the rollback rate is negative 0.86%. The millage rate to be levied is 9.2520. With that being said, I would ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brock.
The last budget hearing, I didn't get a call. So I didn't get a call for that budget hearing. I missed it, and I understand there were some changes made in that budget. And the original budget that there was a position put in there, taken out on the contingency fund and put in. And it's the same position that for the last 3 or 4 years I said it hadn't been needed. We went through elections with that position. Every 2 years, every 4 years, and we're about through this one, and they've been needed. And I don't know why all of a sudden someone decided that it was needed to let's go ahead and fund it now. So, and I'm still saying that position's not needed. It's just giving somebody a position. And I hold firmly to that. And you know the situation. Very good. Very good. And comes up here every year. And right here at the end, what you're doing, I know who's behind, trying to sneak it in here. So, I just wanted to say that, for the record, the original budget didn't have that position in it. And here at the end of the budget, somebody must have put it in there.
Wasn't it taken out?
So, was there a vote on the last budget to put that position in there?
No, Commissioner Brock. How that came about is our representative on the budget committee was Commissioner Kent. Commissioner Kent had planned on giving up that position. The position, for the benefit of the crowd, is in the supervisor of elections office. In the process, after the budget had been discussed several times at workshops, etc., the supervisor of election elected to fill that position. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but she elected to fill the position. The position was cut in the current budget. When Commissioner Kent looked at it, Commissioner Brock, he was unaware that she had filled that position and was reluctant to not fund it because the person that he had hired was a very good and qualified person, and he did not want to see that person lose their job. Is that correct, Commissioner Kent? So the board as a whole, through consensus or just by consensus, agreed to allow that money to be in there to fund that position.
Good.
Now,
Chairman Bush, why would she hire somebody whenever the money hadn't been approved for the budget?
It wasn't.
Why would you do business like that?
It was in there.
It was not in there.
I guess
At
I
that
would
time,
if I
she hired
wanted to.
somebody, the money hadn't been approved. This money has just got approved, Commissioner Kent, which Commissioner Kent, last time I know was a stronger Florida position, which she didn't get. The board did not approve it. So here we back at the same issue, identical to what we was last year's budget. So I just want to get information, how this come about.
I wanted to speak on the same subject, but I wasn't sure if this is the right time or not. I was gonna wait till we got to the agenda items. that the place to speak on it?
Probably so. Let's get the motion, let's get
I made a motion.
the
to-
agenda
to-
adopted.
I made a motion to that.
All right, and then we'll come back and address it. All right, I've got a motion by Commissioner Abbott, second by Commissioner Kent to adopt the agenda as it stands. All in
Now,
favor?
as it stands,
We're,
as it stands, is that position in it?
we're just adopting the agenda right now, Commissioner Brock. Once we get
Okay.
to the agenda items, we'll come back and open it up. But
Okay.
the whole agenda has to do with the budget.
All right.
So basically, any of it up till the MSBU budget you could bring up. All in favor? So carried. All right, the next portion of our agenda has to do with the non-agended audience, and basically this is just an opportunity for the public to get up and speak. And if we have anybody that would like to speak on, with regards to the agenda? Yeah, I mean, you can speak on anything.
Oh, anything.
Yeah, we're just, this is a budget hearing, so we haven't advertised on, you know what I mean? We haven't advertised
I-
for anything, to take action on anything other than budget.
Good, alright. I just want to make the board aware that I'm going to, I have a planning meeting after this, and I have a building that we're trying to build basically, and, we're kind of in a crunch to get it done. Anyway, I know today is not the day to bring up a vote to get approval on this because you haven't heard from the planning department yet, but I just want it to be on the docket for the next meeting that you're gonna have, just so you're aware. And I guess that's all I have.
I'm not familiar with you. Can we get your name?
Jacob Chrysler,
Okay.
my brother and I own the auto care over by McDonald's.
Hmm.
Very happy for you, Jacob.
Thank you. So, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Anyone else? Not, I'll close the non-agenda audience portion, we'll move on to the agenda. Commissioner Gothard? We're in the budget session. If
Oh,
you
we're
want
gonna
to
do the
talk
millage
about it.
first?
We can do that, but if you want to address the, I don't see where we'll change the millage. It's already been advertised, it would take quite an effort to do that. So yeah, I think that's the way we will do it. I'll look for a motion to approve the millage rate for fiscal year 2016-17 by resolution 1610.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the millage rate for fiscal year 2016-17 to 9.2520.
Okay. Do we need to read these resolutions
Just
yet?
the title, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. This first one is covered by resolution 1610. And it basically goes through and sets the millage rate at 9.2520.
Which is a reduction in income by, I don't have that here with me, do it.
43.
How much? 43,000?
I was thinking 47, so that's just.
It's approximately $47,000 less income than we had coming in last year, so I don't know that everybody will recognize the savings on their taxes, but we are actually reducing the taxes this year.
All right, to get a second? Second. We got a second by Commissioner Kent. We'll do a roll call vote, which is required. Commissioner Gothard?
Yes.
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. All right, now that we've got the millage set, we'll go back and the next thing we need to do is approve the budget for fiscal year 2016-17 by resolution 1611, and I'll entertain discussion.
Well, I just wanted us to rediscuss putting that, 35,000, taking it out of contingency and putting it in the supervisor of elections budget. I said at the last budget hearing, I thought we had multiple hearings. At the next to the last one, we get a request to move this. I just disagree with it. We've just gone through a very big primary. They were able to do it with the staff that they've got. Last year, we did not give her money for an extra position, but she was able to find the money. And I'm totally against, at the very last of the budget, after we've had meeting after meeting after meeting, us taking the money out of contingency and putting it in that budget, item. I just don't think that's right. I think we can, after we see how much money she's gonna be able to turn back to the board at the end of the year, we can always do a budget amendment and try to match some of that money if that's what the board wants to do. But at the last budget hearing, when Carol and I were talking back and forth, and I had said then that I wasn't in favor of it. My recollection was, we said, let's just move on. And so we just moved on without really a resolution to it. And then when I got the budget documents, I saw that the money had been moved in there. And I didn't understand that we all came to an agreement on that. And so I was a little surprised when it was moved. And I'm against that. I'm just against that. You know, for 4 years, she's asked for an additional position. We won't have another election for 2 more years. 2 more years we won't have another election, but we're going to add a $35,000 a year employee. And I just don't see it.
All I want to say is the staff that's in place is the same staff that she had in the primary. She hasn't added any employees since the primary election.
And she came up with the money without us increasing her budget from last year. So undoubtedly, there's money to be had in that budget. It's just not being allocated exactly like we think it is. But to add a $35,000 employee, well, we're not going to have an election for 2 years. At the very last of the budget hearings, I just think that's wrong, and I'm against it.
So it was presented in the very beginning on her budget request, and I'm asking a question.
Yes.
Okay, and then Charles, you being on the budget committee, representing the board, you took it out,
Yes.
and it wasn't discussed with,
He didn't take it out, the committee took it out.
We all took it out.
Okay, we all took it out.
Because the position was not filled
okay.
It don't need to be filled.
when we
Yeah.
took it
That's
out.
why it was taken down.
I
And
took
see,
it
I think Carol gets about, supposed to turn in about $10,000 that she don't turn in. That the board assumed it's turned in. That money we don't ever get it. That's some money she uses. But I just don't think it's very logical to put an employee in there in an election about over with, sat there for 2 years now. You know, like I said, $35,000. I guess that's plus benefits, whatever. So when you only got about 80,000 in detention fund, and part of that's already gonna be used, already know it's coming.
And we don't even have that much now in contingency. We're gonna have 77 and we took 35 out.
There's 44 in there now.
44 now.
Plus the
Because
additional
we took-
insurance
Plus we got the insurance coming.
for the courthouse
So
structure.
that money is very useful before it was asked. Very.
And I'm not saying anything here that I didn't say to Ms. Rudd at the last public hearing. We've been working on this budget since around July. We've had meeting after meeting, discussion after discussion after discussion, not heard anything about it until last week. And I just don't see it. That's a lot of money.
Well, on behalf of Ms. Rudd, nobody made her aware that she had submitted a budget and the committee had taken out. Nobody had made her aware that money had been taken out of her budget is why she filled the position.
Well, I don't know about that, Doc, but I do know one thing.
Mr. Kent
Well,
told
she
me.
said she
For
didn't.
sure.
Mr. Kent said he had
Mr.
told
Kent,
us.
yes.
I told her, and we
Yeah.
talked about it in here on that same last week. I mean,
Yeah.
But she
I know.
said she thought.
She said she thought that I was pulling her leg. She was never formally.
Yeah.
Help me out here,
But
Madam Clerk.
Let me finish what
Go ahead, Commissioner Brown.
I thought, yeah, well, I'm talking in general. When this came up last budget year, insurance, money got involved with it, but him giving him the employee rate, it was actually got started by this issue. They employed for Carol. That's how it got started. With Mr. Abbott. Fortunately trying to get her an employee, demanded with the board. give her an employee, but it wasn't work seemed needed, and it's not needed, it's the same situation it was. So, you know, majority of the board wants to give her one, just sat there for 2 years. But
She doesn't want
I
education.
can't go with it.
Hold on. He's got right, Steve. I'll go back. Let me ask, Madam Clerk. If we were to take that 35,000 and put it back in contingency, time rocked along, her budget didn't make it, we could always, during a meeting, amend the budget to put it back.
That's correct.
And that would satisfy all parties involved. Correct?
Correct.
But you're actually unfunding a position.
I don't,
Did we not agree that we would take it out of contingency in the tentative budget hearing?
yeah, that was the plan, was to take it out of contingency and move to her
I
budget.
thought there was an
But if we
agreement to that.
elected not to
then,
do that,
but-
Yeah.
well,
there
then we
was.
could leave it in contingency, and then if she needed it in the future. As a general rule, her salary budget tends to make it throughout the year. Very seldom does she run, it doesn't appear she ever runs out. I don't ever remember her coming asking for salary dollars. Not in the last 3 years, so.
Didn't we have to make a budget amendment this year to add something?
You're gonna have to,
Because she added employee.
because she added an employee that wasn't budgeted this year.
But she added an employee that we had not budgeted last year. We didn't give her money for a fourth employee last year, but she hired one.
So there's three, doesn't she?
So,
But she had a contractual that we did not budget, that she had all year, the year before.
And see, we've got that, the other,
that 30,000 is
the
still in
other
there for
30,000
contractual
is still in there
employees.
for contractual
And
employees.
we're not having an election in 2 years.
No elections.
So technically, she's already got 30,000 in her budget.
I think that would be the simplest way. The money would be there in contingency if she needed it going forward. And at the same time, it would cover her. She don't have to let anybody go, in other words. What I'm trying to get at, she's got a good employee. I understand she doesn't want to let that employee go.
Sure.
So
That would bump our contingency back to
it
79.
would give us, it
And
wouldn't,
we
it
are
would
talking
free our
about-
hands. If we needed it in the future, we can always move it over. If we had to have it for something more dire, then it would give us the ability to spend it without having to go in and do a budget amendment.
Is there some discussion on the insurance for the courthouse prior to me coming in? Did y'all- I know that there
We
has.
still don't
been
have
some
any hard
discussion.
fast numbers.
We just know that's gotta come out of contingency also, and we're down to 44 right now.
Or a possibility of it being funded in the court facility.
Court,
We're
right,
checking
court
on that.
administration,
So,
there's a good chance can fund that. Because to me, that falls all legislatively exactly what that funding is for. So, all right.
I just want to say one more thing, because it keeps being said she didn't know. To my knowledge, since I've been a commissioner, we've never went to each person and said, this is the money you're getting, this is what you're getting. We've done that through budget workshops. And I'm not gonna say anything else about it.
Oh,
Where we're at, Ms. Carroll, is the additional position has been brought up, and the addition of the 35,000 into your budget to cover the additional position. There's some discussion about moving the monies back into our contingency fund. Then if you need them in the future, doing a budget amendment, moving them back.
But we go through this every single budget, as if I need to be babysat. I'm not a department head, Ms. Bush. I always turn the unused money back, always. And all of you have to admit that that's the case. I'm probably one of the few who do turn money back. But last year I had two commissioners who came to my staff after a meeting and said, if you'll do this, as we've asked you to, my job, doing it different than I do it now, we'll give you this money, and that's so inappropriate. It's like dangling it over me. If you'll do what I said do, when it's your office, we'll give you this money. I don't try to micromanage anybody else's office.
But Carrie, you've got the 30,000 for contract, and we're not having an election for 2 years.
And
So
if we don't use that money, we will turn it back just the way we always have.
why not just use that money? You're not gonna, there's no elections coming up.
There's a lot of other things that we do, I can use part of that money, but we will turn it back, we're accountable for every single dollar that we use. But I'm literally the only one, this happens every single budget year. And I'm not required to, as I've told you before, to give you a line item budget, but I'm trying to be very transparent with everything that we do. But every time I say I'm gonna stop that, we go through this again. And it's obviously become very personal.
To me, this is exactly what I said, it's been thrown at us at the very last minute. You know, you said it's not your job to babysit, or somebody not to babysit, but it's not our job either to go around to everybody saying this is what your budget is.
Well,
That's why we have
it's
budget
real
meetings.
easy to every constitutional officer to say, this is where we are at the end of this budget meeting. I mean, we're not public. We're a constitutional agency that needs to be made aware.
But that's why we have budget
been
meetings.
And we've been super busy. Until you've worked in the office during election time, you have no idea how busy you are. That's what I'm doing tonight. I'm setting up ballot layout, because we have to have ballots mailed next week for this election we're working in now. You
But
can
even
see
with-
we're just
but-
sitting there doing nothing, and it's so frustrating. We would have certainly been there if somebody had sent an email out and said, hey, here's where we are. That's all it takes.
Well, we didn't fund that position last year, but you found the money for it.
Correct.
So we didn't even fund it through this board last year, but you've
But it
got
was for a very-
$30,000 for next year and no election.
But it was from July through October, or July through September 30th, I funded it.
We can always come back and do a budget amendment. If you see that 30,000, you need that for some reason. I mean, if we put it back in contingency, we can always come back and do a budget amendment when you come before the board and ask for it again. But you've got $30,000 for contract labor in there and no election.
I've heard it all from them, so.
Okay,
I guess if somebody had made us me aware again tonight, it was gonna be discussion, because a couple of them said they thought it was just for reading.
Yep.
So Mr. Brock said there was money I had that I had not turned back. I don't know what he was referring to. If he could clarify that for the public who were here. Never had funds that we didn't turn back. I don't know what he's talking about.
Commissioner Brock, you had referenced some funds that the supervisor of election had that wasn't turned back. Is that pertaining to this year or last year?
The 10,000 they estimate that usually comes back from her office.
If she doesn't
That's brought up
spend,
last year's budget hearing. You recollect that?
If there was money left, obviously it went back.
because you don't get your money.
Right.
Hmm?
So doing it, I just want to clarify for him, I think the rest of us are clear.
Any money that's left in her budget goes back to the general fund.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with the other
Well,
constitutional entities as well. We do get money from the other.
We've been through this, and Carol knows we've been several times through the budget. And we down to the election's about over with. And we ain't had to fund that extra position. It seems that we're stabilized, that we've got an office that can work, and come out for the public that's not overcrowded. It's not overcrowded, and way to put it, I guess. And I think Carol's office works good. She does a good job, what she's doing. Very good job. But the election ain't over, what are these people gonna do for 2 years?
All right. If we're gonna make any adjustments to the budget, the budget we can actually approve. It would be nice to make any line item adjustments to the budget prior to approving it. The budget amount we can approve. But if somebody would like to make a motion to adjust any of the line items, then they need to do that now.
Now, I want to be clear
Do what, Darren?
on the legal side
On
of
the
it.
budget, we're basically approving, let me make sure I read that resolution, but the resolution is just basically a budget amount. It's a total amount. Whereas what is being discussed is adjusting
Line items.
line items within the budgets.
I think for clarification, Mr. Chairman, it'd be good to go ahead and adjust the line item as well, if we can get that motion done.
Okay.
No.
But if somebody wants to do that, then they're gonna have to make a motion.
I just have one question. If you remove that line item away from her budget, are you unfunding that position?
No.
We never funded the position, so we're not unfunding it.
I don't look at it as unfunding a position, I look at it as cutting her requested budget. She's got the authority to do whatever she wants to with the personnel that's included in her given budget. I don't know in effect if you are unfunding the position, but from a technical standpoint, you're not.
I'll make a motion that we move the 35,000, put it back in the contingency. If at some point during the budget, during the next fiscal year, she sees that she can't fund the position, she can come back to the board and ask for an adjustment.
I'll second that motion. That sounds fair.
Well, that's the fairest way.
That's
If
fair,
it's-
that's fair.
That way there, the money's there, if she needs it. The biggest thing is, she's got a great employee, and I sure want to support that employee. That was my whole issue with it to begin with. The one thing I didn't want Carol to have to do is lose that employee, because that is a great employee.
And that may be what happens.
All right, I've got a motion and a second that we move the 35,000 additional monies from Carol's budget back to the contingency budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Uh-huh.
I guess we need to do a roll call.
Roll call out,
To,
Mr. Chairman.
elect to not to vote. All right, Commissioner Gotham?
Yes.
No.
I'll vote yes. Commissioner Kent?
No.
All right. Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
All right, the next thing we need to do is approve the budget for fiscal year
What
two,
was the vote, Adam?
3-2. In favor of moving the money. The next thing we need to do is approve the budget for fiscal year 2016-17 by resolution 1611.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the budget for fiscal year 2016-2017 by resolution 16-11.
All right, I'll second it. This one we have to do by roll count. Commissioner Gotham,
Yes.
Commissioner Abbott,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Brock,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The next agenda item is to approve the MSBU budget for fiscal year 2016-17 by resolution 16-12.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the MSBU budget for fiscal year 2016-17 by resolution 16-12.
I got a second by Commissioner Kent, Commissioner Gothard,
Yes.
Commissioner Abbott,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Brock,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Bye, Mr. Brock.
You don't?